Tammy Bruce is in the house tonight, filling in for Laura. How are you?
It's an honor to be handed off from you to me tonight. Thank you, Sean.
Well, have a great show, and don't be nervous. No, I'm kidding. You've been doing this for years.
I won't be, but it's a pleasure. Thank you, Sean.
Let
Appreciate
not your heart
it.
be troubled. You're great.
Thank you, dear. Well, I am Tammy Bruce, in for Laura Ingraham, and this is the Ingraham Angle. We begin with a Fox News alert. The spending bill to avoid another government shutdown is on its way to President Trump's desk as we speak. The president is expected to sign the bill tomorrow morning, but he will also use the occasion, finally, to declare a national emergency to get the money for the border wall. The White House believes there is upwards of $8 billion they can tap into to get that wall. We will get into that in a bit. And though she is supposed to have the night off, Laura will be joining us in just a few moments over the phone to give her thoughts on what transpired tonight. You will not want to miss that. But first, we go live to Capitol Hill, where David Spunt has the details on how all of this went down. David.
Well, hey, Tammy, good evening to you. Big night here on Capitol Hill before President Trump signs that legislation in the morning, which we're told he will, as you just mentioned. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just actually signed it here on Capitol Hill, and now it's on its way to the White House. Let's go over those vote totals, though. 300 yays for that bill, spending bill. 128 nays on that. Now, it was comprised between Republicans and Democrats, the majority of Democrats. Now, the Senate passed the measure 83-16 earlier today. Spent most of the day in the Senate speaking, and senators had mixed feelings on the president getting ready to declare a national emergency. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made it clear today that he had assurances from President Trump that the bill would be signed. This bill calls for $1.375 billion for new border barriers. That's enough for 55 miles of fencing along the Texas-Mexico border. Now, there are several provisions. One is that the Department of Homeland Security must discuss any new construction with local leaders before that construction of the wall takes place. This is an issue that specifically puts somewhat of a wedge between Republicans. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Shelby are both calling the wall money a down payment.
Consider this a down payment and find the difference between 1.375 and 5.7 through executive action. Some of it can be done by accessing existing accounts without a national emergency declaration. Most likely, you can't do it all without a national emergency. I think he will go the national emergency route because he has to.
But other Republicans like Susan Collins from Maine and actually John Cornyn, the senior senator from Texas, they said that they don't know if a national emergency was really the best way to do this. Senator Cornyn seeing some of those immigration issues down there. Meanwhile, on the Democratic side in the House, progressive Democrat from New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she actually voted no on the package, Tammy, because she said that it funded the Department of Homeland Security. And she has called specifically for a defunding of immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. That's why she voted no there. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi earlier today felt very confident about this. She said she believed that they would have the votes, the Democrats would have the votes. Also, House Speaker Pelosi didn't rule out any potential legal challenges if President Trump, I should say when President Trump declares a national emergency. However, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders said earlier today that the White House is ready for any legal challenges. Again, that bill on its way to the White House right now, 1,159 pages. President Trump's team going to be working all night, and he will sign it tomorrow morning, we hear. Tammy.
Yes, as someone once said, it takes a village, apparently, to read bills now. Yes, David, thank you very much. And now joining me via phone is the host of this program, Laura Ingraham. Laura, welcome to your program. Thank you so much for calling in for us.
Hey, Tammy, I'm winding my way through the mountains of Colorado, so if it cuts in and out, sorry about that. But look,
sounds nice.
I just got off the phone with a White House source, and he said that, and this is their point, they were really in a no-win situation here. They had to sign this because if they didn't, pain inflicted on the American public, pain inflicted in the way that we saw unfold before. A lot of frustration, however, from the White House about these provisions that were slipped in the writing process of this legislation. Remember, it only is good until the end of September, the end of this fiscal year. So this is not a forever thing, but it is still very frustrating. The provision which I've been tweeting about and speaking about on my podcast today, Tammy, is the provision that gives presumably, it seems like, a de facto shielding from deportation of any potential sponsor of any illegal immigrant kid who comes across the border. Now, that conceivably could be like second cousin twice removed if you read the language, gives a lot of discretion. But I'm assured tonight that the Department of Homeland Security is going to be extremely stringent in the way they interpret that provision, that they will not allow some wholesale de facto amnesty to be instituted through this provision. So they insist that that is not something that the American people should worry about, and they are absolutely confident that they're going to be able to get billions for this wall and build, perhaps as much as 200 miles of the wall in critical places in the United States with this, with the emergency fund, 1.5 billion, and then with more money coming from this interdiction sources from, drug trafficking.
Laura, you're breaking up just a little bit. I do want to ask you, though, in this process, the president is going to realize here that this is going to be par for the course. It is remarkable that this kind of bill went through and was approved of by the Republicans, considering these landmines that are in it. He must realize that it's always going to have to be not necessarily a compromise, but that he's going to have to always be working for us and against the establishment to get things done. Colorado. All right. Well, so we've lost Laura. Great. Enough time, though. Great analysis and summary right there for us with her conversation with someone. Her source is certainly in the White House. But we will be Laura in just a minute as she comes through to another better cell area.